Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Meet the Lawyer at LoTempio P.C. Law Group. Today we have Boyd Earl, who has been with us since 2017. Boyd came from Gene Tenney's office, was here for about a year and a half, and then came into my office one day and said he's buying a bed and breakfast in New Mexico. And I started to laugh, and he said, "No, I'm serious." And now Boyd heads our New Mexico office. So we're here with Boyd today. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
So we always like to get a little history. So tell us a little about your educational history.
I went to SUNY Binghamton and graduated from them in 1986. And then 89, I went to UB and graduated. And since then, I've been doing personal injury work throughout the Western New York area and now in New Mexico.
So you had when did you graduate? Law school in '89. So
Yeah.
you went straight to law school.
I
Right?
did, yeah.
Don't you ever think that you ever wanted to take a break? Are you upset that you didn't take like a year off or anything?
No, I've seen too many people who've done that and taken a year off and then suddenly never come back.
Yeah, I know.
So I figure it's a lot easier just going straight through
I
and
know.
have the tooth pulled.
So you've been practicing law for almost 30 years now, right?
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
So you do our personal injury, a lot of our personal injury cases. What kind of cases do you like to work on the best or the most?
The easiest, obviously, would be the motor vehicle accidents or slips and falls, but I am more challenged by the medical malpractice cases and some of the products liability cases we handle.
Yeah, we do. So we do. We do a lot of complicated cases here. We actually get a different variety of cases, right? I mean, we don't generally get car accidents all the time. Tell us about some of the cases that you work on here.
We have almost everything. We have corporate law work. We have workers' comp that does affect the personal injury claims as time goes on. We have defamation claims. Just about any personal injury claim that requires litigation, we handle. Yeah. Right now, I think I have about 20 cases down in New Mexico since we're building up that office, and about 100 cases up here in New York State.
What's it like? What's the difference between practicing law in New Mexico and practicing law in New York?
Well, it gets to be a bit of a pain when you're trying to learn all the new procedures in a new state. One of the issues, for example, is New York State has no fault. New Mexico doesn't have any no-fault law, so it changes everything with automobile accidents. It makes it somewhat easier because we can bring lawsuits for any injury at all, as opposed to New York where it has to be a serious injury. But on the other hand, it is a lot easier in New York State where you have the no-fault coverage, which will pay your lost wages and medical expenses right after an accident takes place. In New Mexico, you're pretty much on your own until the case settles.
So what happens with that? I know in New York State, if you're sometimes there's liens from Medicaid or stuff like that. How does it work in New Mexico?
Oh, they have liens for everything there. They actually have more liens than they have in New York State, because New York State about 5-10 years ago got rid of the claims of the insurance companies as a general rule for reimbursement out of any settlement. But in New Mexico, every case I have right now has a lien on it. But, it increases the value of the case because if you have to pay back the lien, everyone in New York State worries about these liens if there is one. And the bottom line is, if you have a lien for $50,000 in your case, obviously your case is going to be worth more because the insurance company realizes they have to pay back the $50,000 before anything gets to the injured party.
So when do you deal with those liens?
Usually at the end. I get all the information as the case goes on, and then when we begin negotiations, I know what the lien amount is. Then I talk to the insurance company. I start with that as the floor, and then we start talking about settlement of the case. Then afterwards, once the case is settled, we kind of flip it on its head and try and get the lien down as much as we can, because you can make arguments with respect to liability, question of whether you even would get anything in the case. So if you have a massive lien, you can sometimes talk to the lien holder and just say, hey, the bottom line is, if we take this case to trial, there's a very good chance we're going to lose, so why don't you take 50 cents on the dollar on your claim? So it makes it a little bit easier, I think, to get the cases wrapped up in those situations.
So how's the bed and breakfast?
Bed and breakfast is doing great. Ever since the pandemic ended, we are just totally full.
And it's Dreamcatcher?
Dreamcatcher Bed and Breakfast in Taos, New Mexico. Generally, my wife handles the bed and breakfast, in case anyone's wondering. But I do get up and help her with the breakfast some mornings.
So what do you like to do on your spare time besides taking care of the bed and breakfast and practicing law, which is 2 full-time jobs?
Well, I'm on the president of the board for the Foundation of Deaf Education here in Buffalo still, and I'm also on the session at church and in charge of all the finances there. So I don't have a lot of free time, but when I do, I like to build things.
Do you do you know sign language? I believe you know sign language, right?
Yes, I do know sign language.
See, that's terrific.
I haven't had enough practice with it over the years, so when we get deaf patients, it's a very slow, or deaf clients, it's a very slow process. But we can communicate, so it makes it a little bit easier.
That's a great thing to know. So,
Yeah.
well, if you need any personal injury work in Buffalo, New York State, or Taos, New Mexico, please call our office, LoTempio P.C. Law Group. Ask for Boyd, and we'll take great care of you. Or, of course, if you need a place to stay in Taos, New Mexico, the Dream Catcher.
Give us a call. We'll give you a discount.
Have a great day.